We are ready to go. So what is yoga? I define yoga as not just a workout in these pretzel-like poses, as I mentioned earlier. It is mindful body awareness. It's connecting with our breath. It's also forms of meditation, self-reflection. And so this week, we're going to be really focusing on our body presence. And then in the upcoming Mondays in the series, when we meet the last Monday of each month, we will take into consideration other parts of doing yoga as well. And so this is also a practice that connects us to each other. The word yoga actually means union. So that's union of body, mind, and soul. And also, as I mentioned, of our community together. And I love that part about yoga classes, is just being able to connect in this authentic way. So the other great thing about doing yoga is that it prepares you, as I mentioned, for when you are out on adventure. So some of the practices that you learn over these next 4 classes are going to help you when you are out doing all of the different sports in the mountains, or when you are able to even just navigate life. Because I know that as either someone navigating multiple sclerosis or cancer, a healthcare worker or a caregiver, whatever your role is here, that you're probably dealing with some kind of stress, and it could be mental, it could be physical. And so yoga can help us with all of these things. Yoga is also a practice of mindfulness. And so what is mindfulness? It is one of the pillars of First Ascent, along with adventure and nutrition. So they're incorporating it more on the programs. And it basically just means being aware of your actions and your breath and your feelings, as well as your thoughts. And so yoga is just the way to practice all of these things here so that you can actually live them off of the mat. So let's go ahead and get started. You can actually stay right where you are for the meditation, or you can find your way to your yoga mat. I have a chair back here because I will be offering some chair modifications, because if someone's in active treatment or maybe just really tired, then there will be ways to do everything through a chair as well. So go ahead and get comfortable. I'm going to be sitting back here. And whenever I sit on the floor, I choose crisscross applesauce. So my hips are higher than my knees. I usually put a pillow or something underneath so that my hip bones are higher. Makes it a little bit more comfortable. You can also sit in something called hero's pose. And so maybe a block or a pillow could go underneath your bottom. And then you nestle your hips between your heels. And that can be really comfortable as well. Obviously a chair, you just sit with your feet flat on the floor, and then you actually have the back support, which is nice too. In this first part, I'd even welcome you to lay down if that's more comfortable. So we'll be navigating a brief meditation, then some mindful movement, and we always relax at the end of class. And go ahead and close down your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or you can come to just a soft gaze, finding a drishti or a focal point on the floor in front of you or the wall. And I just want you to notice how you're feeling right now. So in general, maybe one word that comes to mind. Checking in with yourself, taking that time to slow down and tune in. And then start to focus on your physical body. So noticing proprioception is your body in space. So where is your body right now in relationship to the room around you? Notice where you're feeling a sense of grounding in your body. any sensations that are running through it. And also noticing where you may be holding any tension or where pain could be showing up. And so the thing about mindfulness is we have this awareness, and it might be easy to have the awareness, but the harder part is not being critical when it shows up. So it's okay, whatever it is, whatever you feel, just allow it to be. And if there is an area that you're feeling tension, perhaps you just bring your hand to that area and you can place just a little bit of pressure, or you could massage your neck. Rarely do we ever give ourselves a little bit of a massage, right? So massage neck, the temples, the head. Give yourself a little self-love. Finding, I know I get a little tension in the neck, especially that occipital region down into my shoulders. And so just starting to kind of feel into your body. If it's not comfortable to massage that area, you can simply place a hand there, giving it some attention, imagining that maybe there's some golden light, that you're sending that area some good vibes. And then go ahead and come to stillness and start to focus on your breath. We're just going to have simple mindfulness about how the breath is moving in and out of the body. Is it moving in your nose or your mouth? Do your inhales or your exhales seem longer? Does the breath feel choppy or does it feel smooth? Maybe it feels a little bit suppressed, or maybe it's flowing abundantly. Again, there's no need to have any judgment. It's just simple awareness. And then we're going to switch to controlling the breath a little bit. So can you make your breath a little bit longer? Inhaling, deeper breath. And exhaling through your nose, also a long breath. So just breathing in and out through your nose, nice long, deep breaths. Maybe noticing that your body even perks up a little and spine gets a little straighter as you're starting to lengthen the breath. And then can you smooth out your breath? So just imagining that you're out in nature and you're glancing at maybe a still mountain lake or a river that's flowing gently by you. Imagine that your breath is moving just as fluidly. You could even imagine that you're climbing a mountain on the inhale and descending on the exhale. And then can you slow the breath down? So as you keep these long, smooth breaths moving in and out, can you breathe in just a little bit slower? And then breathe out slower. When we slow down the breath, it directly relates to our heart rate. And so then we start to feel like we're literally putting the brakes on the stress response in the body. It's just as simple as tuning into your breath. You can do this anytime and anywhere. Just takes the mindfulness to know that maybe it's not flowing as well as you'd like it to, and then you can simply switch. And now we'll start to tune into the thoughts moving in and out of the mind. Surely by now you've had a few. Tends to happen when we close down the eyes and have that introspection. And just notice what thoughts are coming up. And again, no criticism or judgment, just notice what pops up. And if it's a positive thought, notice how that makes you feel. And if it's something that's maybe more worrisome or a negative thought, notice how that makes you feel. And can you just come back to a nice steady inhale and exhale, focusing on deepening the breath, making it nice and smooth, noticing that the thoughts start to float on off. And then the last place we're going to check in during this meditation is your heart center. So that place deep inside, we've gone past the physical layer, into the energetic layer, into our mind. We get to this deep rooted part of ourselves where we can set an intention. This is going to be a heartfelt desire, how you'd like to move through the rest of this class, maybe into the rest of your night or even week ahead. And so whatever your intention is, can you put it in the present tense and imagine that it's happening now? So if you want, for example, more peace or more presence, then it's I am peaceful or I feel present. Something that declares that it's already happening as though you're manifesting it in this moment. This works when you're out adventuring as well. If you're in a sticky spot, maybe feel, a little scared when you're about to go down a rapid or climb up a rock, then you can say something along the lines of, I've got this, or flow down the river, or climb strong, something of that nature where you put yourself in the present tense and you make it something that's positive. And it helps you to have that forward momentum. It becomes your anchor. And so during class today, we'll be using these anchors, whether it's your breath, whether it's the physical presence in your body, or your intention, so that when thoughts come in, we can just let them go. You can blink open your eyes when you feel ready, and we'll go ahead and start to move. How class is going to roll today is it's a choose your own adventure class. And so that means it's an offering for you to choose what feels best in your body. I will give a few options for most of the poses that we do, most of the movements, and so you can just go ahead and choose your own adventure. So we're going to start with small movements, small mindful movements in a joint release series. And I'm going to invite you to start sitting. You could be in a chair or you could be laying down. So if you're laying down, your body's going to be nice and long. And only if that's comfortable for you. Otherwise, you would start sitting with your legs out in front of you. And if you're in a chair, I'd recommend maybe having an ottoman, or you could have your feet on the floor for this as well. So we'll start with just movements of the smallest joints down at our tippy toes, and go ahead and just bring one leg up to the sky if you're laying down, and inhale, spread the toes, and exhale, curl. And yes, if you're sitting, you'll be doing the same thing. Inhaling, and we're just doing one at a time, and exhale, curl. Do that about 3 or 4 times. And then we'll start to move into our ankles. And so again, if you're laying down, you'll be inhale, point the toes up, and exhale, flex them down. And same if you're sitting, you're just inhaling up and exhale, pulling it towards your nose. And we'll start to rotate the ankles. So moving them out to the side and then up, the toes roll up, and then the toes roll down towards your nose. And so the reason we're doing one leg at a time is because you're going to feel into both sides of your body and notice the difference of how the energy is floating through. And then switch directions. So you're mindfully trying to inhale as your toes roll up to the sky and exhale as you draw them towards your nose. And starting to bring your ankles to stillness. And you'll already start to feel like there may be some fatigue going on in there or some openness. And then we're going to inhale, straighten the leg, and exhale, bend the knee. If you're sitting, then it's a simple drawing the knee in and then straightening the leg. Doing that a few times, you're just kind of opening that knee joint. Good. And then straightening that leg. And then we're going to go ahead and move into some hip circles here. So if you're laying down, the knee is going to draw in and you're going to be moving the knee in a circle. Inhaling as the knee rolls out to the side and forward. Exhale as it rolls over midline and back in. You could even straighten your leg a little bit more if that feels okay. You'll go a few times in one direction and a few in the other. And if you're sitting, you're going to be trying to keep your leg hovering and moving it over. And you may feel some fatigue in your hips here. So just have some mindfulness and we'll go the opposite direction. Very good. And then just laying your leg down. So I want you to take a moment to close down the eyes and just notice the difference between the right side of your leg and the left side and what's going on here. And perhaps there was some movements that didn't feel quite right, and that's okay. So you may notice as you do the other side that there are some imbalances. And again, no judgments here. That's totally okay. You'll just move however's comfortable for you. So let's start with the other side. And I'm going to do this one sitting up so that you kind of see it both ways. We'll inhale, spread the toes, and exhale, curl. Again, if you're laying down, you know what to do. The same as on the other side. Just noticing if you can spread your toes. Not everyone can, and that's okay too. And then we'll inhale, point, and flex on the exhale. We'll kind of have that pumping motion in the ankles, opening up those joints. Then we'll start to move in those circles. So bringing the toes up. We'll inhale as we roll the toes out to the side and up, and then exhale in and back towards you. Do that a few more times. So you may be noticing that on one side you may even have like some snap, crackles, and pops going on, totally normal. And we'll switch directions. Very mindfully moving. Having presence with your body, and also noticing if the slower movements make you feel like you want to move more, because that's normal too. But we're slowing down. We're trying to balance out the busyness of life with yoga. And we'll go ahead and do the knees. So inhale, drawing the knee in, and exhale, release. If you're laying down, it's more of a straighten and a bend motion. And then continuing, starting to move into the hips, legs. Go ahead, bend the left knee in, and we'll start to move it in a circle. You can keep the knee bent, or you can straighten the leg You just might feel a little bit more fatigue in the hips by straightening it, and make sure you have a good, if you're sitting up, support your hands, switching directions. Just knowing that motion is lotion, so we're getting some openness in the hips. Very good. And we'll bring that leg to stillness. Now, from here, I invite you to go ahead and sit up, or if you prefer to stand, that would be okay too at this point. And so we're going to be moving into our spine. If you're seated, I would say cross-legged or in a chair works. If you want to go ahead and stand up, go for it. And we're going to start by just coming into some cat-cows. So you'll inhale, the chest comes forward and the shoulders squeeze back. And then as you exhale, you round the spine, tucking the chin to chest. So it's like this. Again, if you're standing, your hands would be more on your knees, inhaling and exhaling like that. And in a chair, same thing. So these movements can be done working on spinal extension and spinal flexion. One more. And then we'll actually start to move in a circle a bit. So we'll inhale, come forward. And then as you exhale, go over to your right and back, scooping the belly in. And then inhale to the left and forward. So if you're on the floor, you'll be doing the same motion. If you're standing up, you're kind of circling your hips, circling the spine, and you're opening up that way. And then we'll switch directions. So moving to the left and forward as you inhale, and then exhale as you come back. Very good. This is really good for just digestion and kind of working on some movements in the spine right now. And we'll start to come to center, and we'll move up towards our shoulders and the neck, which is where a lot of us will tension. Again, you can be standing for this. And actually, I rewind, go to the wrists and the hands. So we'll bring the arms out, and again, inhale and exhale as you squeeze, just opening up the fingers and closing them. And then the next time you close them, tuck the thumbs in, and we're going to move into some wrist rolls, just like the ankle rolls. So as you inhale, start to bring your knuckles in and then down, and then exhale out to the side and up. And so do that a few more times in this direction. And then we'll switch. And what you may notice is there's all sorts of stuff going on in the wrists, because we use our hands for just about most things. And so just notice how those wrists are feeling. And if one, you're getting more of those popping noises in it than the other. All right, and then we'll go ahead and inhale. Curl your arms in like you're doing a bicep curl. And then exhale, open up the arms like you're rolling dice or something outward. So inhale, draw your fists towards your shoulders, and then exhale, open up the arms. Very good. And one more time. And we'll go ahead and shake out the arms and move into our shoulder rolls. I think these and the neck part is my favorite. If you're sitting down, you may want to cross your legs the opposite direction. If you're in a chair, you're fine. If you're standing, you can stay like that. Just make sure you have a good strong base if you're standing. We'll bring our fingertips to the shoulders and elbows out to the sides. So it's like you got wings here. And we're going to start by inhaling to draw the elbows in, and then up to the sky, and then exhale, drop the elbows to the side and down. So you're going for like a really big circle here, and totally normal if feels like asymmetrical and one side's tighter than the other, or if you've had any trauma to the chest area, this may feel really tight for you. So you can also keep your fingertips don't have to be on your shoulders, and you can just kind of move your arms in these circles too. So just finding what works for you here, but opening up the chest. Very good. Then we'll lay our hands in our lap, or just let them dangle if you're standing. And then go ahead and drop your chin down to your chest and roll your right ear to your shoulder, stretching into the left side of the neck. And then roll the chin through center and stretch the right side of the neck. So that left ear is down towards the shoulder. And then we'll go ahead, chin comes back to center and gaze comes forward. We'll move in circles here. So as you inhale, look over to the right and then up to the sky, open your mouth. Exhale to the left and down. And do that 2 more times. Inhaling to the right and up, opening the mouth. And exhale to the left and down. So opening the mouth just keeps the back of your neck safe so it doesn't get crunched. We'll come back to center and we'll go to the other side. So inhale to the left and up, parting the teeth. Exhale to the right and down. Just notice if one side feels a little bit, I guess, like kinkier than the other. It's a good word for it. Like I notice this direction feels a little more stiff when I come to the side. That's probably because I sleep on my side, and so there's something going on there. That's just the mindfulness. I'm not gonna be upset about it. I'm just gonna take notice and maybe massage that area later. All right, so we've loosened up all our joints. So we're gonna get into some of the bigger movements now. I invite you to go ahead and come to tabletop. So I have something I'm going to put underneath my knees because I like to pad my knees. If you're on carpet, then you might not need anything. Otherwise, a blanket kind of works really well. Again, this can be done also sitting, you could say, because we're going to move into some cat-cow movements again. Or you could do the cat-cows standing like I showed you earlier. If you're on hands and knees, you're stacking shoulders over hips, hips over knees. And as you inhale, drop your belly, your gaze comes forward, shining the heart through. And as you exhale, press into the mat, drop chin to chest, and really puff up your spine. Do that a few more times, inhaling, moving into cow, and then exhale to cat. If you're sitting, then the same thing, inhale and exhale, just like that. Standing a few more times. And then we'll bring the spine to neutral and start to walk the fingertips out in front of you so your arms are straight. And we're coming into puppy pose. So I like to inhale, puff up my back, and then as I exhale, just drop my head between my arms. And you can just let the head dangle. You could place your head on a block or something like a book or a pillow. Or some of you might be able to touch your head down to the mat, but that's a pretty deep stretch. Now, if that's not comfortable for you to be on your knees, there's options to do this stretch against the wall. So hands against the wall, just dropping your head right there between your arms. You get the same stretch. So feeling into it. And I invite you to stay here, or you could come back into a child's pose. Knees come wide, arms come out in front of you. Some of you may want to try a downward facing dog. And so if it's okay for you to put your head lower than your heart and it doesn't make you dizzy, then I'll invite you to try coming to hands and knees first, lifting the knees, dropping the head between the arms like we just did in puppy pose, And notice my knees are bent to start. I start to then straighten one leg, pushing my heel down. And then I might bend that knee again and straighten the other leg, pushing that heel down. Just going back and forth because the hamstrings may feel a little bit tight. And so what happens is if we straighten the legs, it sometimes pushes us forward, but we lose that extension in the shoulders. So we want to keep that extension, even if that means the knees stay bent for a little bit. Taking mindful breaths here, steady inhales and exhales. It's so important to breathe. In fact, the next class, we're going to really emphasize how we breathe. So just a few more breaths, whether you're in child's pose. This also could be done on the wall, like I said earlier. And it's the same as that, what we did in puppy pose. And we'll go ahead and drop down to your knees or just start to walk to the top of the mat. We're going to come up to a standing. Now this whole next part can also be done sitting down. So if you're doing chair yoga, totally fine. Each class, I'm going to teach what I call a mindful moment. And this one is called the Mindful Mountain. And I teach this at the First Ascents programs when I get to go and teach yoga at those. So we're going to just start by kind of shaking it out, shaking the arms, shaking the legs, just imagining that like whatever feels stressful in your body and that you want to let go of right now, you're just going to like shake it out and let it go. Imagine that you're throwing it out your hands, throwing it out of your feet, and don't need it anymore, right? Just letting it go. Take another few seconds. And we're going to start to come to stillness. I'm going to take my feet a little bit wider than hip width distance apart so that I have kind of that mountain type base. My base is wider than the top of my body. And again, this could be in a chair with your feet flat on the floor. I want you to close down your eyes or fix your gaze in front of you on one point. I'm turning my palms outward or placing them on my lap if I'm sitting. And start to feel your feet, maybe rock forward and back a few times and side to side. Finding a sense of center, a sense of grounding. Feel as though you have roots in your feet growing deep into the earth, keeping you here and present. And then as you inhale, draw your breath from your toes up to your ankles and exhale from your ankles to your toes. Next, inhale, breath moves up from your toes to your knees. And then exhale from your knees to your heels. And you're stacking your knees right above your ankles. The next time you breathe in, breathe from your toes all the way up to your hips. And then exhale from your hips to your heels, stacking your hips right above your knees. Just notice that you may have some subtle shifts in your body, and take careful notice of how the lower half of your body feels compared to the upper half. You may feel more grounded and rooted, more present, more sturdy. We'll go ahead and continue stacking. So the next inhale, draw the breath from your toes all the way up to your shoulders. Shrug them up and let them fall down your back, stacking your shoulders right above your hips. Breath moves down the body. The next time you breathe in, it moves from your toes all the way up to the crown of your head. Feel the top of your head reaching to the sky. And then exhale from your head down to your heels. You're going to stack your head right above your shoulders, maybe tucking your chin back slightly. And notice if you feel like you're standing any taller. Careful drawing in of the belly, keeping the core engaged. You may notice that the pelvis tucks under a little when you do that. Your heart is shining forward. From this place of presence, we're going to draw your intention back into your heart. So thinking about what you said was your intention in the beginning of class. As you inhale, draw the breath from your feet up to the crown of your head, and then say your intention to yourself. Exhale, send the breath back down to your feet. Do that one more time. Inhaling, sending the intention. Exhale, feeling a sense of grounding and presence. So as you notice, as you stand here in mountain pose, you feel strong, stable, unwavering, no matter what the weather is that's going around you. That's the beautiful thing about mountains is they stand radiant and strong, no matter what is going on. Nice stable base, all the way up to the peak. And in this mindful mountain, you are bringing body presence, breath awareness, as well as your intention, all of those as your anchor, keeping you rooted here in presence. All right, we'll blink open the eyes and we'll go ahead and come into a low lunge. So dropping back down to your knees, you could take some cat-cows along the way if you'd like. And we'll take this right foot forward and start to come up. I have my toes tucked, but you can keep them flat behind you. Now, if a low lunge is not doable, you can actually do this in a chair. And so you would have your right leg forward, and then you start to tuck this left leg back, and you kind of come to the edge of the chair. You still get a sense of balance, but you have that stability there. All right, so finding that low lunge, the arms can swim up overhead, reaching for the sky. Inhale up through the fingertips. Exhale, press down into the base, whether it's your knees and your toes. We'll keep reaching for the sky, tucking the belly up and in. And then inhale through the fingertips, and we'll exhale, cactus the arms. So just drawing the shoulder blades down your back, bending the elbows like goalposts. Inhale, reach the sky, and exhale, elbows down. One more time, just like a cactus or a goalpost. Very good. You could stay here, holding the heart open, or start to bring the hands behind your back. And if you clasp your hands behind your back, you can puff the chest open. Take a few breaths here and really open up. And from here, we'll just go ahead and bring the hands down to frame the foot. If you have books or something, like I have blocks behind me, I'm gonna grab. Sometimes it's helpful here. I'm straightening my right leg, so I'm gonna half split. And I'm just rocking my toes forward and back. Inhaling, rocking them forward, exhale, back. And as my leg is straight or knee is slightly bent, I'm gonna feel a nice hamstring stretch. You can also roll your toes side up through center, back and forth, and then you'll start to feel the outer side of your leg into your IT band, which can be a little intense. And then coming back to center. From here, I'm gonna invite you to come into warrior two. So you can either swing your left foot back behind you, and that's like a kickstand. Arms come out to the side. And if you're in your chair, then you actually open up your knee to the side and bring your leg out like this, okay? I also will give you the option to press up into a higher lunge, spin your back heel flat, and rise to standing warrior two. So that front knee is over the ankle, and your back foot or back knee is like your brakes. So you're pressing into the backside, allowing that knee to be directly over your ankle. And you find your drishti, your focal point. So coming into a steady breath. This is going to be our strongest pose of the night. So finding nice steady inhales and exhales, feeling a nice rooted, strong base. Get a softness in the upper body. I like to kind of like wave my arms a little bit to soften them, soften the shoulders. And just notice what starts to come up for you as we hold this pose. We're going to be here for about 4 more breaths. You totally got this. Just notice where you're starting to feel the tension, what the mind might be saying, and just come back to your breath, back to your intention. Very good. All right, and then we're going to just turn the toes to the side, come into a wide-legged forward fold. So feeling the hamstring stretch here. If you're seated, you would just be opening up your legs, allowing yourself to kind of stretch them out. And you can stay here, relaxing the head and neck. Again, you could have some sort of support like a block or book, water bottle, or you can just rock side to side. I like these side lunges. Inhale to center, exhale to the other side. And what that does is it allows you to open up your inner thighs and hips. We'll come back to center and start to pivot to the other side of your mat. So you might be going backwards, and that's okay. We're going to start by dropping the knee down, and that left foot's going to be forward at a low lunge. And again, you know what to do if it's in a chair. Bring that left leg forward, find your sense of base, and then arms swim up, reaching for the sky as you also press down. Next time you inhale, reach through the fingertips, and then exhale, cactus your arms, spread the heart, shoulder blades start to come together behind you, and then inhale, reaching high. We'll do this 2 more times. Good job. And then hands are going to come down behind you, maybe clasping your hands the opposite way. It's going to be the funky way. And puff the chest up as you pull the knuckles down, opening up the chest, squeezing shoulder blades together. This feels so good after, especially if you sit at a computer a lot during the day, be able to just get those shoulders to open up. Hands are going to come down to frame your foot. Again, if you have something to place your hands on, it sometimes feels nice for support. And just bring your toes forward and back. And then maybe even side to side. So feeling into those subtleties, what it does to your hamstrings and IT band. Nice work. And we'll go ahead and start to rock back into the bend of the left knee. And you choose, again, choosing your own adventure, which warrior 2 you want to do. So you're either sitting down, you're bringing that kickstand behind you, staying nice and grounded, arms up, or popping up to that low lunge, spinning the back heel flat so it's parallel to the back of your mat, rising up, warrior 2. Having your left knee over the ankle. When you feel grounded, the arms can float up, and then fix your gaze over the front fingers. Once again, finding a steady breath here. Nice and steady breath. Holding this pose, you start to notice where the tension shows up first. Maybe there's some subtle cramping going on in one hip. All of it is okay. You can straighten your leg, come back into the bend, whatever works for you. Nice and steady breath. Got 3 more of these. Last breath in and let it go. Nice work. Turning the toes to the center of the mat, finding that forward fold, taking that rest if you're in a chair. And from here, we're just going to start to make our way back down onto the mat. So go ahead and come down to your knees. And you're going to have an option to do this pose sitting or lying down. So sitting, we're going to be moving into figure 4. 3 ways to do it. If you're sitting down on the mat, you're just going to take your right foot up, hook it over your left knee. And this might be enough for you because you start to feel it in this outer hip. This can also be done lying down. Left knee is bent, right leg is hooked over. Simple pressing into the inner thigh or even reaching for the back of the hamstring. Finding that figure 4, maybe straightening the leg or keeping it bent. And you probably guessed it, if you're sitting in that chair, you can do the same movement. So you're gonna have that one leg grounded and then the right leg is in that figure 4 shape. And you can gently press down on the inner thigh, deepening the stretch. So find a steady breath. Notice that the more you breathe into the pose, the more you release into the pose. I'll take 2 more breaths here. And then go ahead and we'll switch sides. So right foot comes down and left leg comes up, hooking the ankle up and over, whichever position you're in. And again, steady breath. Last breath here. And then bringing that left foot down, we'll find some windshield wipers. So if you're sitting, you're just bringing the knees to one side, inhaling the knees to center and exhaling to the other side. If you're lying down, same thing. Feet are mat width distance apart. Exhale to the side, inhale to center. This is a subtle twist. If you're in a chair, then you can still windshield wiper, but if you want to get more of a twisting sensation, you may go one side, inhale center, exhale other side. So more of that twist that we're going for here. Starting to come back to center, and we made it. We're at the end of our little adventure. So start to lay, but in yoga, we have a little nap at the end. It's called Savasana, known as corpse pose. So you're gonna go ahead and lay down in a position that's comfortable. Lying's not comfortable, you can be seated for this. And this is often the best part for most people. Actually, I shouldn't say that because some people don't like Shavasana because they're thinking of what comes next and, oh, this is boring, I don't need the nap. But this is really I would say some teachers even say it's the most important pose because we're digesting the practice, we're slowing down. And as you lie here, you're just going to start to surrender. Once again, you have one more opportunity to choose your own adventure. You can either follow along with my words and it'll be more of a body scan where you're drawing attention to each part, or you can do what's called progressive muscular relaxation, where you can tighten and release these parts that I'm talking to. So let's start with your toes. As you inhale, you can crunch the toes up and exhale, release, or just draw attention to your toes as I mention them. And moving towards your ankles, relaxing the ankles or inhaling to Flex and exhale to just release the feet. Moving up your legs towards your calves. Inhaling to flex the calves and exhale, letting them go, letting them surrender. Moving up to the upper legs. Might inhale, flex the quads or the hamstrings. Exhale, release. Just letting the tops of your legs settle onto the mat. Drawing attention to your glutes, your hips, your pelvis. Feeling nice and stable. Maybe inhaling to clench the glutes and exhale to release. Feeling your spine steady upon the mat. Noticing your torso. Inhaling, maybe flexing the abdominals. Exhaling to release them. Feeling your shoulders surrendering to the mat. It might feel good to inhale and shrug the shoulders up to your ears, and then exhale, kind of wiggle them down, feeling them nice and heavy upon the mat. Drawing attention to your neck. Feeling a sense of relaxation here, maybe nodding the head or rolling the back of the head side to side, massaging the back of your head, releasing the neck. And one last part, it may feel good to inhale and scrunch up all your facial features. Clench your jaw, and then exhale, release everything. Releasing the eyes, releasing your cheeks, especially your jaw, maybe parting your teeth. We hold so much tension there. Just taking about 1 more minute to fully relax. Allowing yourself to just be. Nothing to do, nowhere to go quite yet. Focusing on steady breath. Drawing your attention back to your heart. Go ahead and start to deepen your inhales and exhales. And feel that stir of energy starting to circulate through your body, awakening you from this little nap. Maybe invite movement into your fingers and toes and wrists and ankles. It might feel good to lift your arms up overhead, reaching from fingers down to your tiptoes for a full body stretch. So you're waking up in the morning, wiggling your body about. Then you'll slowly start to come up to a seated position. Before you open your eyes or do anything, I just want you to notice how you feel now. So you noticed in the beginning of class, you probably came up with one word or you showed up in a certain mental or physical states. I want you just to notice if anything shifted for you throughout this practice. What felt maybe not so good in your body, again, without any judgment here, and what did feel good. I invite you to open up your eyes. I always draw my hands together at heart center to say namaste, which is just a gesture of saying the light and love in me honors the same in each of you. I appreciate you being here today.